I was just like you. Yeah. Knew there was something special, knew there was something missing. I knew that feeling inside, homie was of the spirit. And like a fish on the line, he went and drew me near it. I caught the bait and was hooked, like we was going fishing. In the world they try to fill the void with carnal things. Cars, clothes, money, women, and the diamond rings. You think you need it, but what's really on the flip side? You cop the Beamer, but you empty on the inside. You buy the Gucci, buy the Louis, and you cop the Prada. You ain't hip unless you got the latest fancy product. Is this all humanity exists for? Or these are the only things that make up life? It's so easy to get caught up in the programming. A little glamour's all it takes for us to get enticed. You're worth more than a treasure of the finest gold. Just as a father made you, that's what you need to know. Once upon a time, I was just like you. Getting money in this world's the only thing I knew. I wore my sins on my sleeve with some fresh nights too. But the Bible boy changed my view. Look, I was just like you. Once upon a time, I was just like you. Getting money in this world's the only thing I knew. I wore my sins on my sleeve with some fresh nights too. But the Bible boy changed my view. Look, I was just like you. The devil knows what gets us. He knows us very well. He got a whole generation caught up in a spell. He keeps the truth covered from you like a wedding veil. Knowing that the way you live in boils send you straight to hell. They say life is a party, so you should live it up. You don't need a soul, go ahead and give it up. But I'ma tell you different, tell you that they wrong. Tell you about the living God that's sitting on that throne. And send you a message through the lyrics to this very song. That you a child of Jacob, that's why they did you wrong. But your God is calling, and he sent the Son. And we can overcome the struggle through his very blood. So turn away from evil and make your way to Christ. He'll take your sins as scarlet, and then he'll make them white. Casting off the works of darkness, put on the armor of light. Renew your mind, homie, and then you know what's right. Once upon a time, I was just like you. Getting money in this world's the only thing I knew. I wore my sins on my sleeve with some fresh nights too. But the Bible boy changed my view. Look, I was just like you. Once upon a time, I was just like you. Getting money in this world's the only thing I knew. I wore my sins on my sleeve with some fresh nights too. But the Bible boy changed my view. Look, I was just like you. This ain't Kendrick, this ain't Cole, this is you and me. A brother sent to speak the truth, truthfully. The scriptures that was hitting, boy, I speak with fluency. The Holy Spirit filled my page with lyrics just for you to see. To break the bonds of the captives and to set them free. Or you ain't know that you were slave to the system, slave to the corporation, slave to religion, a slave to your sins in the days that we live in where the gays run parades to persuade our children. You better repent before Yeshua pay this earth a visit. And you resent all the time you wasted and all the lies you entertain and all abominations. Wouldn't keep the law or the holy convocations. He gave us breath, he gave us life, so it's our obligation. Why would you rather chase Satan and choose to walk the road of fire and brimstone in the combination? Once upon a time, I was just like
Shalom, Facebook fam. I'd like to welcome you all to week 30 of the awakening of the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man that is in this country. We'd like to give glory, honor, and praise this morning to Ahaya B'Shem Yeshaya Wah. For all those who are not familiar with the Hebrew, that is all praises to the Most High in the name of Christ as well as the Holy Spirit. As we said before, we'd like to welcome you to week 30 of the awakening of the so-called black man, of the so-called African-American man that is in this country. We thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We know you could have been anywhere in the world today, so we definitely, really, truly, and appreciate the fact that you would join us today and take time out of your busy schedule to be with us on today. Today, we embark on our 30th week of the awakening. And I have to say that everything that has transpired throughout these 30 weeks, that the Most High has entrusted us with this task, with this mantle, to be a part of the awakening of our people. I would have to dare say that this week has been the most trying week of them all. For some of you that know that has been contacting me, and I want to say to all the people out there in the Facebook world that has contacted me and inboxed me, and my family telling us they're praying for us, we definitely appreciate that from the outset. So I want to tell you all thank you for your prayers and your well wishes. But on this past Wednesday, the Most High decided to take from us our dear aunt, Willisina Ingram, and my little brother, Brian Thomas, my little brother from another mother, Brian Thomas. And unfortunately, these things occurred on the same day, on this Wednesday, and it was crazy. You know, we was awakened early in the morning, rushing to the hospital to be with the family, and we found out that she was no longer with us, and we was at the home and gathered together and began to comfort each other and be there for my cousins. And then my brother called, and just it was like a bat to the chest, and it was really tough because you don't really see these things coming. And as I stated last night when we was posting about, you know, saying Shabbat Shalom to all the family, all the Israelite people out here today. I appreciate that, Ak, man. Definitely appreciate that, Ak, man. Definitely, man. And we was talking about it. Remember, my brother was talking about it Wednesday, and we were saying, you know, warning, should we continue with the Sabbath this week, knowing that we was gonna have to be there as support for the family. But then when the same happened to my little brother, I said, you know, we got to do this. Me and him, we basically said it at the same time. It was like, yo, it's even more for a reason. And I'm going to tell you why. Jay, go ahead and get Matthew the 4th chapter. And hold that, and then get Luke the 12th chapter. Because we just want to give the people some encouragement before we get started with the lesson today. For all of you that may be dealing with bereavement right now or may deal with it in the weeks to come, this is something that has helped me out, something that I want to give to the people. The thing that was significant here is that when it comes to my aunt, with everything that she was going through, was still serving the people. She was still active in her church. But I'm gonna save this next thing for after we read this first precept, Matthew 5, the 4th chapter. I'm gonna tell you about what my little brother was doing before the Most High took him with us. So let's go to Matthew 5 here, and just read verse 4 here for him.
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
It said, blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. So the Most High, you can always know, you can always entrust that at any time that you are going through a situation. What did he say there? He said, blessed what?
Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted.
For they shall be comforted. So when we're going through a situation, the Most High is there because it may catch us off guard, right? It may be something that we may not see coming. But at the same time, the Most High knows what's coming. And so he has already released the strength. He's already released the peace. He's already released the joy. I was talking to my dad Wednesday night as we got back to the house and dealing with all this because my dad and my mom and my dad, they love BT just like he was his son because he's been there in our home ever since he's my brother classmate, my brother Nick's classmate. He's been in the home ever since they was in middle school, coming to the house, eating at the house, staying at the house. He comes home every holidays, during the holidays and Christmas and Thanksgiving. He's at the crib, mom cutting the cake for him, fixing him a plate, putting it to the side so that when he come by, he can get his food. You know, that's one of her sons. When she was going back and forth, you know what I mean, the Winston picking my brother up, a lot of them would ride back. Shout out to PJC, shout out to Ty J, shout out to all the Prime Playboys, you know what I'm saying, PPP, you know what I'm saying, in class of 2002, man. You know, it was a very, very close class. So be in prayer for the entire class of 2000, Anson County, Anson High School, class of 2002. And so, you know, we have to realize that the strength and the encouragement that we need is already released. But I want to also say this. Let's go to Luke 12 right quick. And I need to show you this. And let me preface this before we read this precept. I hadn't talked to my little brother in a little while. But on Tuesday afternoon, guess who hits me up? It's him. And guess what he's talking about? The videos that we've been doing the last few weeks, all these 30 weeks. Guess what he's talking about? He's talking about that he's getting the understanding and the confirmation that he was Israel. And I was shocked to know that when I talked to my little brother Willis last night, he told me that he hit him up as well. Now, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? That same night, he was in a group chat with his homeboys, sharing the truth and telling them that they was Israel. You understand? Sharing the truth and letting the people know, his homeboys know, that they were Israel the night before he left here. So, all praises and glory to the Most High, because on the night before he left this world, the night before he left here, he was spreading the truth to his brethren that they were Israel. So, when I found that out, I could not help but rejoice. I could not help but be glad. I could not focus on the pain and the suffering that I was dealing with my little brother BT leaving, but the fact of the matter that on the day before he left, he hit me up and got confirmation that he was Israel, and the same night before he left, he was telling the brethren that they were Israel. I couldn't help but rejoice. I couldn't help but rejoice. So I want to encourage all the people that are watching here today. Before we get into this lesson, I want to give you these words of Christ to let you see exactly what's going on, because you have to understand. Don't worry about that. We're not even going back to that. We just do what we got. Don't worry about that. We ain't got time to deal with that. We got to flow with the Spirit right now. We don't even. Let me tell you. I want to let you know that you need to be about your business when Christ come back. Go to Luke 12. Let me show you here. My aunt had just been working in the vineyard that weekend, taking old folks some food and going to get their medicine. That's what she was doing days before she left here. My little brother BT, the night before he left, he was sending out messages and videos and scriptures to the brethren, telling them that he was Israel. That's what he was doing. So let's look here in Luke 12. Let's look at verse 37 here.
Blessed are those servants whom the Lord, when the Lord cometh, shall find watching. Verily I say unto you, that he shall gird himself and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. So Christ is saying here, blessed those servants that when he comes back, finds them working. That's what my aunt was doing when she left here. That's what my little brother BT was doing when he leaving. My question is, what are you doing? What are you doing? Verse 38. And if he shall come in the second watch or in the third watch and find them so, blessed are those servants.
So when he comes, when you don't think he's going to come, you may believe that, okay, no, I may die at this time or I may leave here this time when he don't come, but he then comes when you ain't expecting him to come. He said, what?
If he shall come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them, so blessed are those servants.
Verse 39.
And this know that if the good man of the house and knoweth what hour the thief will come, he would have watched, and if not suffered his house to be broken through. But ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not.
He come at an hour that you think not. If you'd have asked me Tuesday night when I was talking to my brother, you'd have asked me would he be leaving here Wednesday, I would have said no way. He's 33 years old. There's no way he's going to be going here. He just found out in Israel. He got a little son that he's about to raise up knowing that he's Judah from birth. He got a girl. He got his girls. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's getting everything fine-tuned. So for me to think that on Wednesday he will be gone, there's no way. That's why Christ said, be ye ready. Verse 41.
Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord said, Who then is the faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give him their portion of meat in their due season?
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is that servant whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing.
So when Christ comes back, when he comes for you, blessed those servants that will be doing their purpose and doing what thus says the Lord when he find them. He said, but verse 44 says what?
Of a truth I say unto you that he will make him ruler over all that he has.
He will make him ruler over all that he has. So I don't worry and concern about what my aunt is right now. I'm not worried and concerned about what my little brother is right now. Because when he came back for him, he was doing the work of the Most High. So I ask you again, what are you doing? What are your hands doing? What are you engaged in? Good morning, Mr. McCoy. Appreciate you being on with us this morning. Verse 43.
Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find him doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Of a truth I say unto you that he will make him ruler of all that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And if that servant say in his heart, My Lord, delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the manservants and maidens, and to eat and drink and be drunken. So
that guy that's saying, listen, man, we just turn up, man. This is YOLO time, man. I ain't got to worry about that, man. I got plenty of I got plenty of time to get myself together. I'm going to the club. I'm about to turn up. I'm about to go smash this shorty. I'm about to let dude hit. I'm about to go and do everything I want to do because I'm young. I can do what I want to. Verse 47. Verse 46.
The Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the unbeliever.
With the who?
With the unbeliever.
Now, so what did that tell us? Christ ain't talking to the Gentiles who don't know him. He's not talking to the world who's not in him. He's talking to those who know him. In the daytime, i.e. the church. So read that verse for him again.
The Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in sunder.
He will do what?
Cut him in sunder.
Oh, he going to give him sparing.
He'll cut him in sunder.
He going to give him grace.
He will cut him in sunder.
And do what?
And will appoint his portion with the unbelievers.
With the unbelievers. So all of you sitting around here talking about, hey, man, I'm going to heaven anyhow, man. I'll pay my tithes anyhow. That ain't what Christ said. Verse 48.
And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes.
He shall be what?
Shall be beaten with many stripes.
No, he going on with the rapture.
Shall be beaten with many stripes.
He leaving at the first, at the toot of the horn.
Shall be beaten with many stripes.
Now Christ, because Jesus loved everybody, he going to be straight.
Shall be beaten with many stripes.
Why?
But he that knew not and did commit these things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required.
To whom so much is given, much is required. So you can keep going to church every Sunday morning, doing all this that you want to do, saying everything you think you want to do. But if you ain't walking in the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God and following his purpose, read verse 48 for him again, verse 46 for him again.
46. The Lord of his servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and in an hour when he is not aware, and he will cut him in sunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes.
He gonna be what?
He shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not and did commit things worthy of stripes shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him much is required. And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more.
They will ask the more. Now, we didn't plan to go into this today. But the Most High led me down this way. Because I needed to do this to get myself together. So that I can deliver the word that the Most High has to the people. But at the same time, I need to get you to understand that you better stop playing church. And this is what the message is about today. And so I'm going to take this pain that we're going through right now, and I'm putting it on Front Street. I'm laying it out there for the people so that you can see that you better stop playing church. You better stop playing with the Lord. Because the Most High is coming, and you don't know when he's coming. If he can take my Aunt Cena away from here, as good as a woman as she was, everything she was doing, what make you think you any better? Now, let's get into the lesson today. Today's lesson is entitled, Don't Allow the Blind to Cause You to Lose Sight. Don't allow the blind to cause you to lose sight. Now, today's message is for all of you that's out here today, that because of everything that has taken place in this world, to everything that we see going on negatively in the church, to everything that we see going on with fake preachers, with misinterpretations of the scriptures, with church hurt that a lot of our people have been experiencing, from the pain and the letdowns and disappointments of leaders who have fallen over the years. Many of our people have went away from the Bible because of what has happened to our people with slavery, because of racist Edomite, or what America calls white Christians, from the things that we see from a governmental and religious perspective of how they lied to us about who we were and telling us that we were the cursed seed of Ham, and telling us that using Bible scriptures to keep us in bondage. Many of our people have went away from the Bible. And I know that many of you, because of what we teach here every Sabbath, you think that I can't relate to you. You think that I don't understand what you're going through. You think that I'm not sensitive to your situation. But you're grossly mistaken when it comes to that. So today I want to give you somewhat of a testimony of my walk and my journey with discovering Christ as my Lord and Savior. I grew up in a home where we didn't go to church, where the only time I went to church is when I went with my grandmothers or my aunts. There was people who went Easter, homecoming and revivals, and Christmas. That's what predominantly the times that I went to church when I was growing up. There were certain times throughout the years when I got into my teens that my mother began to go to church more often, but my father wasn't going at all. And when you're growing up with a father that you respect, love, and want to be like, you don't realize, you think you want to be home with him watching the game. You don't want to be sitting up in a church with a bunch of women, because that's really what it looks like when you're a kid, right? So when I was a very, very smart kid. I'm not saying this to boast, but I was very smart. And even though I grew up in the hood, you know what I'm saying, I was that guy that had all A's. I was the hood version. I was there doing everything that the hood was doing. But when it came to classwork and schoolwork, I had no problem. So I had a lot of teachers who tried to make me go away from my friends and get away from situations that they thought would hinder me, which I didn't want to hear at the time. I can remember vividly in the second grade, I had a teacher, I won't name her name, that were mad because I always had the highest grades in the class. And, she had the other kids, which was other persuasions, other nations, that she favored. But I was always the one with the best grades, and I didn't understand why she was always mad. Why she wasn't celebrating me as the one like she was celebrating them. And so my friend, one of my friends that was there, that is my friend right now, his name is Toby McClure. Shout out to you, Toby. I remember the first day went home one day, and I saw the movie Mississippi Burning over the weekend. And I got into a fight with my friend Toby on Monday morning because of that. Just because of that. And my dad told me that, he said, I shouldn't have never allowed you to watch that. So growing up black in America will alter your mindset about what the reality is because of the way we've been treated. Him being one of my best friends and good friends even to this day, I instantly went to school and fought him because of what I saw in Mississippi Burning, because I thought all white people hated black people. Now, as I went throughout school, I still began to deal with racism, discrimination, being in classrooms where me and a couple of guys, a couple of few of us, the only black people in the class, and the class is full of whites, and teachers making remarks, saying things, students saying things, making remarks, and you having to deal with those things, and your mom telling you, like, you can't be doing this. You can't be fighting and getting in altercations with people. So when I was 16 years old, I saw the movie Malcolm X, and it changed my life. Prior to that, I kind of honored and favored Martin Luther King. But when I seen the movie Malcolm X, that's who I wanted to be. So I said from that point on, we didn't go to church anyway, I'm going to be a Muslim. I'm going to be like Malcolm X. I'm going to be the next Malcolm. Now, I had some friends from my hood that were dealing in the 5%. And people who know that I'm not finna go into that right now. It's confusion, delusion, satanic. But we didn't know no better. And so because of that, we stopped eating pork. I stopped eating pork at 16 years old. I began to read. We began to get scriptures out of the Quran and study the Quran and study mathematics according to the science of 5%. And so I was at the point by the time I got 18 years old that I didn't want to have anything to do with the white Jesus, with the white Christians, of anything. And I'll never forget the conversation that I had with my father the weekend before I left and went off to Fayetteville State. He told me, he said, we didn't raise y'all right as far as going to church and give you a Christian background, but none of your family is Muslims. So you need to make a decision what it is that you want to do. So I'll never forget that conversation always was in the back of my mind. So when I went off to school, I went into the library and I found a book called The Black Presence in the Bible. And I found in there where it had labeled all the people in the Bible that were black. But it was just certain areas. They was pointing out like Ethiopians and certain Africans and stuff like that. But it wasn't talking about the main characters of the book. So I still, I said, okay, there's some black people in the Bible, but it's not about me. When I'm looking at the pictures, I'm looking at the images, I see white David, I see white Peter, I see white Paul, I see white Jesus. But the thing about it was that it didn't ultimately matter. It just was I was so much focused on the people that I held the Bible characters accountable for that as well. And it wasn't until one day, just praying to God, it was right after my homeboy had killed himself, and my grandmother had died, and it was just some different things that were going on. And he said to me, and this is how I know that it was the Most High. He said to me, Christ said, you're asking everybody about me, but you never asked me about me. I heard that in my spirit. I heard that. This is before I was born again. And from that point, I began to see Christ and get an understanding of who he was, and praying to him and get an understanding. Fast forward to April 2003, I gave my life to Christ. Now let me tell you something. At the day of April 2003, the first Sunday, April 2003, when I gave my life to Christ, I still thought he was white. I didn't care if he was white. I didn't care if the people in the Bible was white. Only thing I knew was that he died for the sins that I did. And when you've made the mistakes that I made in life, when you've been in the situation I've been in, when you escaped death, when you've been in cars that got shot at, when you've been in the streets and running and bullets going by your ears, when you've had a gun put to your head, when you've been in these different situations, when you escaped death so many times, you don't care if you're white, blue, orange, or green. When you realize that he died for you, you receive him, right? But the Most High and his wonderful self began to open up my understanding, and I began to seek the truth. And I understood and found out that everything that we were taught as slaves in America was a lie. That the Bible was truth. Christianity was a lie. But the Bible is truth. And so what has happened in the society because of what has happened, our people, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man, has threw the baby out with the bathwater. So today, what we hope today, as we get into the actual lesson of today, we hope that our people that are walking right now in Egyptology, our people that are walking in Islam, our people that are walking saying that they're conscious and all these things, who are questioning the things of the Bible. And let me tell you one thing right quick before we get into this, to the scriptures. Don't listen to any of these guys that are telling you that they used to be Christian, but they found out the truth. And let me tell you why. Because once you meet Yeshua the Christ, who the world calls Jesus, you can't be talked out of it. That's just like somebody telling me that after all these years with my cousin, with my deacon here, that he didn't exist. You understand? Like, that's for me. I don't talk to him for 4 years, and then all of a sudden somebody tell me, yo, he's not even real. You understand? When you have a relationship with Christ and the Most High, I don't care what information comes on your table. I don't care what link somebody send you. I don't care what book you read. You won't know. It's nothing nobody can tell you that it's a lie. So all these guys out here that you see that's so popular right now, they're talking about, I used to be a Christian, I used to preach, and now I found the truth. Don't listen to a word they say, because they was always deceivers. They was following a religion. Because if they ever talked to the man, if they ever had an encounter with Christ, I don't care what come around their way, they would know that he's real. So anybody telling you that I used to be a preacher and I used to be a Christian, but I found out it was a lie, they never knew him. And when he stand before all these guys, when they stand before him, he's going to tell them the same thing. I know you're not. Depart from me. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Many of you have discounted the Bible and you haven't even read it. How are you going to discount something that you know nothing about? So today's lesson is entitled, Don't Allow the Blind to Cause You to Lose Sight. Now let's get into the scriptures here. Let's go to Matthew 15.